there's a misconception that we don't exist, that somehow our ability to excel at the highest level of our industry is limited, that overcoming barriers as a woman of color would be insurmountable. But what would happen if we decided to venture out on our own despite everything we're up against? I'll tell you. Welcome to the Black Girls Consult 2 podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Angelina Davis, a healthcare consultant, consulting coach, high performance fanatic, wife, and proud girl mom. I help transform female professionals into thriving solo consultants. And just like you, I'm wearing all the hats and doing all the things. So this podcast is to empower the busy female professionals to move past fear to start and grow a successful consulting business, despite the obstacles you may encounter. We'll dive deep into consulting practice, business strategy, mindset, and more. So grab your cup of coffee or tea if that's your thing, and let's get started. Hello. Welcome to the Black Girls Consult 2 podcast. I am your host, Dr. Angelina, and I am so glad to be tuning in again this week, although it has been a rather hectic one for sure on my end. I don't know how you have been, kind of navigating the year, but I cannot believe that it is almost June. Isn't that crazy? We are almost halfway through another year through 2022, and I have been so busy lately. My daughter has graduated from high school. I'm so excited about that and shipping her off to college. I know that's going to leave me devastated when she is gone, but I know her little sister is looking forward to getting all the attention and taking up more space in the house. So that is going to keep me busy. But as we think about moving into the second half of the year, it's always a great time, I think, to reflect on what has been going right and maybe what has been going wrong. It's a wonderful opportunity for us to sit back and kind of begin to think about whether or not we are making the progress that we actually desire. And if we're not, it's time to shift gears and kind of get everything in motion so that the second half of the year can be even greater than the first half. And I know that we're still a little bit away from that, but I think this is a great time for us to have a conversation about our vision and how our vision is able to really impact our overall goal and journey when it comes to building a successful consulting business. And I was sitting down to think about how I was going to plan out this episode, what I was going to say, what I was going to share, and realized that, you know what? I have an episode that I did a while back when the podcast was under a different name that did really, really well, that I think a lot of people enjoy, because I was able to share some insight into some of the things that you want to consider as you are building your business and incorporating your vision and making your vision more of a priority in that building process. So what I want to do is actually share that episode with you today, and I'm hoping that it is going to be a wonderful, blessing to your life and your business and help to generate some ideas as you move into the second half of the year. All right, so here we go. And so today, what I want to do is I want to share with you 3 reasons why having a clear vision is an important starting point for sustainable success, especially in a highly competitive consulting industry. Because if you don't establish this, what you'll find is that keeping up with the Joneses and competing against your biggest rivals or your greatest competition will be a difficult task. We have to have boundaries, and we have to make sure that we're approaching things strategically. And so these are some things that we can do in order to ensure that we're on the right track. One of the first things that having a very clear vision will do is that it will help you define how to best use your time. So here's the thing. Everything has limits. Everything has limits. I always say you cannot do all things, but you can do everything that matters, right? So it means that we have to figure out a process on how, in terms of how we are using our time. It's easy to feel invincible and really be overly ambitious when you're thinking about your personal and your professional growth. But really, just as in life, this growth will actually come in phases. It won't happen all at once. And, just a transparent moment, this is a lesson that I had to learn, and I am still learning and keep reminding myself over and over again that everything can't be done right now, nor is it even required. You don't have to launch the course and the group program simultaneously as you release an ebook. I mean, think about that. That doesn't even sound feasible. We have to think about how we're really approaching all of our goals and all of our plans in a very strategic fashion. After all, everything that we're trying to accomplish will require a unique strategy, it will require a unique approach, and definitely will require different resources. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't do all of these things. It doesn't mean that you can't do amazing things. It doesn't mean that you can't accomplish a number of goals. I mean, you're definitely talented enough, but the question is, when you're pursuing these things, what risk are you taking? And what things are you giving up in an attempt to achieve these goals? So, for instance, if you're putting too much on your plate, if you're trying to tackle too much at one time, are you risking your reputation? Because if you can't do the work, if you can't do a good job, if you can't do your best, then what will result is a decline in the quality of work that then leads to, fewer clients, a lack of good feedback or positive feedback, and definitely decreased profitability. Right? We don't think about it that way. Are you missing time at home with your family? Is that something that you're giving up in trying to attempt all of these things? And so that can leave you distant from your loved ones, whether it's your kids or your spouse or whoever it may be, family, friends. These are all tough questions that we have to answer, right? And this is why I say, once again, that when we're thinking about our vision, it goes beyond just our consulting practice and just our business. It really does begin to tap into other aspects of our life. And when we can map things out from a global perspective, what we're actually able to do is create a framework for us to really achieve the desired work-life balance that we really want, the freedom that we seek and that we have been desiring for a long time. Think of this really as like a roadmap, because what it's going to do is help us determine the best use of the 24 hours that we're given in a day. You're only getting 24 hours. That's not changing. It's going to be the same today, tomorrow, next week. And so it helps us to figure out how to best use that time. In addition to giving you a personal definition for work-life balance, because once again, that is something that looks very different for all of us. Work-life balance goals will be unique to every individual. The second thing is that having this clear vision actually will lead you to your ideal client. And that's because when you have clarity about the services you provide and the results that you promise to deliver, it will lead you to the proper messaging that helps you to attract your ideal client. Because see, now you're clear about your vision for who you want to be as a consultant. And you're also very clear about who you're trying to work with, right? What proposals you're trying to present, what contracts you are trying to acquire. It's going to make that very clear. And so if you are attracting your ideal client, you also will attract the right people who lead you to bigger contracts. You also will attract the relationships you need to nurture and to land in the right networking circles that will open up doors for you in the future. All of these things are tied to what you are trying to attract, and you are attracting those things by presenting yourself in a certain way. And it took me a while to realize how I personally was missing the mark when it came to connecting my vision with lead generation and even client conversion. And so I would feel frustrated, over time as I worked on project after project that I had no real interest in. And, this resulted in me not being able to perform at my highest level. I mean, I did the job, I did it well, but it wasn't building my practice. And the reason it wasn't building my practice is because it wasn't carrying me in the direction I wanted to go. So the goal is not just to move. We don't want to move in any direction, right? Because you can move in the opposite direction, be completely, further away from your goal. We want to move in a forward direction toward those things that our heart desire. And so the only way to do that is to really position yourself to move toward those things that are in alignment with your vision. So although every client, project, or service request may not be what you're most passionate about, you want to make sure that it is at least consistent with what you say you desire. So for me, that means that I have to be very strategic in what the work that I'm doing. And that's going to be the same for you. So for those of you who are new here, I'm actually a clinical pharmacist and healthcare consultant. I specialize in infectious diseases. So just because I can help a medical practice establish an anticoagulation clinic, which is where we monitor medications that thin the blood and reduce blood clots, that's completely outside the scope of what I desire to do. And so pursuing that as a goal, yes, it may bring me opportunity. Yes, it may bring me more money. It may make me profitable in the moment. But in the long term, in terms of building my authority, in terms of positioning myself in, the consulting space in a manner that I desire, it's not going to get me there. It's not going to get me there because it's not in alignment with what I say I want to accomplish. Similarly, if you are, an HR consultant, you may be phenomenal at giving solid business advice, right? But if this is not your desired pivot or the niche you want to go into, then how is it really benefiting you? How is that really aligning with your vision? You don't want to spin around in circles. What you want to do is to forge ahead and attract the ideal clients that you need to move in the direction that you want to go. And having a clear vision will help you do just that. Lastly, number 3 is that your vision will become your guide. And what I mean by that is that it will be your strategic plan that helps to motivate you and to pull you to your future success. So I used this reference before, but think of your vision as a roadmap, right? So when you're going on a trip and you're trying to make it to a particular destination, you know where you're going, you've determined, where you want to end up or what the end result should be. And now what you're trying to figure out is how do you get there? And there is one thing I believe strongly in, and that's the power of intuition. And specifically intuition, as a female consultant. And the reason I point that out is because that's actually a unique power that you hold and can use to your advantage. I was actually reading an article online at Psychology Today that discussed how research on nonverbal communication skills was shown to help women fare better than men. And the reason that was the case is because in this particular study, they state that women were better at just reading facial expressions and emotions. And as a result, women were more likely to pick up on the subtle emotional messages that were being sent by others. And so they regarded that as what was leading to this whole kind of concept, notion, or premise of women's intuition, right? That's something that both women and men have capabilities of doing, but at least in that study, they found that this was more common with women. So as a female consultant in this heavily male-dominated space, that's something that we can really use to our advantage to excel. I know you're probably wondering how in the world this intuition ties into vision, but if you use this intuition and this deep sense of awareness as you approach new clients, as you approach projects, and as you approach proposals, you will have a better sense of what the right move is for you. And that's because every encounter that you have will be put through, this new lens. It will be put through this lens that is tied to your vision, meaning that if you are interacting with a particular client and that intuition tells you that this is not the right move, this is not going to be in alignment with your vision, well, you're going to move away from it, right? You're going to pass on that. And that's going to be similarly for other aspects of your practice. And those are things that we have to really pay attention to, because what we want to do is we want to look for those projects and we want to offer those services and create those collaborations that will actually lead us down our chosen path. And once again, it doesn't mean that you won't have to do work that falls outside of these boundaries. I'm not trying to say that. You're going to have to do work that you don't necessarily like to do. But more often than not, the work that you do should be predominantly in alignment with the future success that you want to achieve. So I I know that was a lot. I know I'm hammering home on vision today because I just really think this is so important. It's something that we often take for granted. We think of it as a very pie in the sky type concept. But your vision will carry you through so much if you actually use it strategically, if you use it right. And it's my hope that I've really twisted your arm a bit and convinced you that having a clear vision, that it can be key to achieving sustainable success in your consulting practice. And just to recap, this is why. Your vision will, one, define how to best use your time and help you create the work-life balance and the structure that is sustainable. 2, it will lead you to your ideal clients because now you know what you can offer and you know what you want to attract. And 3, having this clear vision will become your guide and help you navigate opportunity and difficult challenges that will often arise from time to time. So, grab your favorite journal, grab your magazines, or grab your laptop, whatever you decided to use, whatever method you want to use for your vision planning, grab all of that. And what I want you to do today is start making your vision clear and plain. Make sure you know what you want. What do you want this year? Because if you know what you want, I guarantee you're more than likely going to get it. Thank you for tuning in to the Black Girls Consult 2 podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to leave your review on Apple Podcasts, subscribe, and share it with a friend. We're on a mission to increase the success and longevity of women in consulting, and you can help us do that. Also, I'd love to hear from you, so let's connect at Dr. Angelina Davis on Instagram or LinkedIn. And don't forget to visit excelatconsulting.com for more information to support your consulting journey. Until next time, take care.